So since the Switch came out in 2017, people have pretty much been searching for Joy-Con alternatives to what Nintendo shipped with the system, the stock Joy-Con controllers, whether it's the button layout, the stick placement, the overall ergonomics for the Joy-Cons themselves. People have been turning to third parties, and there have been some pretty good ones so far to try to solve the issue around maybe the claw grip or anything like those hoary Joy-Cons that came out that were Daemon X Machina themed at first. People really liked those, but there was one issue I had with that, and that was really how limited the functionality was. They took a lot of things away from that set of Joy-Con controllers to make it work at the price that it was set at. But there is one set of Joy-Con controllers that's been going around a bit recently, and I looked at them in December. They weren't in stock, but now, going in January into 2021, they came back into stock on Amazon. So today I thought we would take a look at a set of Joy-Cons that people keep asking me about, keep asking me to check out, and that is from Binbach. At least that's how I think you pronounce it. But what we're going to do here is I guess we'll open these up, unbox them, and I'll give you guys some of my first impressions on these controllers. So if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure you like it down below and subscribe if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel. And as usual, I will leave a link to these Joy-Con controllers down in the description below. Starting off, the front of the box is pretty simplistic looking. We can see it just says Binbach right here. This is Born to Game, a red accent at the top here, but otherwise it's pretty clean. There's not a lot going on here on either side there either. On the back, we have a fairly small drawing of the Joy-Cons themselves on either side there. All right, and opening this up, you're greeted immediately with the Joy-Con controls, and this is pretty large, actually. Like, just first impressions right away. This, in the grip that it looks like it comes with here, it's pretty sizable. That's, I mean, good right away for anyone who wasn't a fan of just how small the stock Joy-Con controllers are. This is a good first sign here when we see it. So, like, if I take this Joy-Con here, I mean, you can see just the size difference when you put that in front of it. Wow, a lot of stuff to go over. Okay, so turbo functionality, their LED indicator, there's a button assignment on the back, so you do have like a macro button back there. You can change the level of vibration, so this does have rumble, which is something we did not have with those Hori controllers. And then we also have an RGB light around the analog stick that's also customizable. Yeah, there's a lot going on here with these Joy-Con controllers, and really at the price, it's a bit surprising how much we have here in these instructions. I mean, this is $49.99. It's on Amazon. It's Prime shipped. So already just all of this functionality is a bit surprising for that kind of price. All right, so we'll just drop this out of there. There is a USB-C cable here, type A. I assume that's just for charging. There is not a charge port on the top here. There is, so this is something I've seen a couple of times. I'm not a huge fan of it, and that is that each Joy-Con controller on each side has its own charge port here and here, and they leave them exposed so there's no cap over it. A lot of times you'll have, just like a piece of plastic that maybe opens and swivels out or something. That way you, like dust or liquid or something won't get in there if you just cap it. Just doesn't look as good here. It's quite obvious then where it will plug in and charge, and it is a bit surprising they don't just have one charge port on the top here. These maybe just slide in and you charge it that way, because I mean, really if you look at it, you only have one cable that comes with it, so you'd have to find another one or just take turns charging each one. But you know what, I do like kind of the all black look here. It's just like this nice matte black, all blacked out. The plastic itself, I mean, it feels a bit cheaper. It doesn't have kind of that rubberized coating that we have with the stock Joy-Con controllers. So yeah, this feels kind of like cheaper plastic on the top here. And then on the back, it does at least have kind of a texture for grip, which it works. It's still smooth plastic, so it's not like great. I think if this was more of a rubberized finish on the back here while leaving this as kind of a smooth matte finish here, I think would work better just for overall grip. Now, everything on the front looks pretty straightforward. We do have actual thumbsticks here, so they're not like the smaller thumbsticks that we have with the Joy-Cons. These would be ones that would be on something like an Xbox One controller or the Switch Pro controller. Think of those, so very good distance for travel all the way around there. The ergonomics and the grip is very, very good. I mean, you can just see how far down this actually curves, so you get a very good handle on this here, and it's not like with like the standard Joy-Con. I mean, look at that thing. Look how different that is. You have a pretty good spot here for your palm to kind of wrap around, and while the front looks pretty straightforward with all the buttons you would expect here, on the back there is quite a bit happening here where we have some macro buttons, and as you can see when you are holding on to it, fits pretty well there. And we also have two other buttons here on the back. So we have what appears to be a memory button that would then work with this. And then you also have a turbo button. So you will have turbo functionality with any of the face buttons here. Now these do slide off just like regular Joy-Con, and they do have functionality as wireless controllers. Unlike the Daemon X Machina, the Hori controllers, these will actually work wirelessly. They also have rumble built in, which is great. So you have that, but it is missing the ability for IR sensor on the bottom, and it does not work with your amiibos. All right, let's actually put these on the Switch and play around with them a little bit. You know what? This looks pretty good. Like if you just kind of look at the Switch with these attached, it looks like it actually belongs on the Switch. I mean, the Switch itself, of course, is like this grayish color, so it all blends in really, really well here. There is a slight lip right here where it sits. So it's not completely flush. And then on the bottom, good luck. It is not flush at all right there, but they were going for the overall grip and I guess just the size of these controllers. There's not a lot you can do. You know what, real quick, let's just check this with the dock here. I just wanna make sure it fits because I feel like this is gonna cut it kind of close. No, okay, it does fit in there. It is, I mean, it's tight. It's not moving much. So those pieces on the back there, I mean, they run right up against where that dock is. But it does work. Technically, you don't have to remove these to sit it in the dock, so that's nice. Okay, so now that I have them on the Switch is on, let's try the feature that's prominently displayed on their Amazon page, and that has to do with RGB lighting. That's right, these Joy-Con controllers, as just like an extra feature. I mean, you put RGB in something, it's not gonna make it worse. You'd expect it to make it better, right? Just because of the look of it and the customization options, all of this. Right around the joystick, you do have these rings that are RGB lit. So we should be able to play around with those using the T button on the back here, and then you click in whichever stick you want to change, whether it's going to more of a breathing animation for like motion, or if you just wanna have a solid color, you can cycle through those as well. So here we go by holding down the T button on the back and kind of just clicking this in. I'm changing between different colors. Don't know how well that's showing up on the camera there. I'd say it's medium brightness right now, but there's like green. Let's see if we can go through. There's like that's a nice blue right there. We have, it looks like more of a purple. I think I'm gonna leave it on that there. They do say it has like different animations actually for breathing. So let's see, what if I double click it there? That should change the animation to, you can see it's more breathing right there. So it's kind of fading in and out. And then it says it also has like rainbow colors that will come on if you want. So like this here is, you can see the different colors kind of circling around. There are different things you can do, different patterns. And I don't think it's the easiest thing to necessarily change around. You can also just turn it off. But I guess the idea is you're gonna find something you like and you're probably just gonna leave it that way. These do act independently, so you can have the left RGB light different from the right one. You also have the ability to change vibration sensitivity. So once again, by pressing down T, you can press up and down on this right stick or left stick, and I can actually feel the vibration getting stronger, or by pressing down getting weaker actually. So there's even customization around how serious it'll vibrate. The macro button on the back here is pretty straightforward. It says you press M, you then press the button you want, and then the memory button back here, and now you just kind of press it and it will jump around for you. That's a good spot for it too. Like I said, when you're kind of holding it here in the way they have it set up, you will just kind of be able to just press it without any issue. You know, I have to say, at $50, all the functionality we just went through and checked out here with these and the extra ergonomics and all this is pretty good, but there are some drawbacks here with these Joy-Con controllers. The biggest one I've seen so far, according to their own site, is the battery life. 3 to 4 hours for each one of these Joy-Con controllers, about an hour to an hour and a half to charge. So coming from something like the standard Joy-Con controller that can get you up to 20 hours, it's a pretty big drop off. I'll have to use it more and then see how the overall batteries hold up in these Joy-Con controllers. And I'm also curious if maybe they'll drain slower or not at all when being used in handheld mode here as opposed to wireless mode with the grip. But it does appear that it's more or less making just a wired controller connection when sitting like this. So you still might have to charge them kind of separately, even when it's like in handheld mode. I don't know if it's necessarily even accepting power from the Switch right now. Now, the other drawback is the D-pad. The D-pad is not good. And you can push directly down in the middle and there is no pivot at all. Yeah, it is not great. It's kind of mushy feeling. Unfortunately, this would be on like the lower end for D-pads, and it is a shame because otherwise, yeah, there's a lot of good going on with these Joy-Con controllers. I actually set the kick button to this macro on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, by the way, so jump kicks, I mean, it's just a breeze. So I went ahead and removed it from the Switch, these two Joy-Con controllers. It's now wireless, and I dropped it in the grip because when we first saw the grip, it was pretty sizable. I mean, this is certainly a controller that would work well like this in the grip for anyone who has larger hands or has not been comfortable with like the Joy-Con controllers because they are, like I said, a bit smaller. It might be a little harder for you to hold it, especially at the bottom. People have talked about cramping up all of this, but looking at this now and holding it, this is pretty solid. I mean, really looking all the way around it, there is quite a bit of controller here to grab and hold onto. It fits very, very well. Like I said, the biggest issue I have is this D-pad, but if you're just mostly using the sticks for different games, I mean, this is pretty good. And the rumble itself isn't very intense, even at the highest setting, and it's kind of light. Most likely, those motors are pretty small, I would figure, inside, but we're gonna find out soon when we open it up. But yeah, this ergonomically might be one of the, you know what? This might actually be the best Joy-Con set I've seen if you just go by ergonomics. And for any of you who are wondering about gyro, I did fire up Crysis Remastered right here, and we can just do a quick test in wireless mode here. Yes, it does work as expected. And finally, the last test I want to do very quickly before I open one of these up is to see if it can wake the Switch up from sleep mode. That's something we struggled with early on in the Switch's life. And like after the first year, most third-party controllers would wake it up out of sleep mode. So I have it here in sleep mode. Here is the Joy-Con we were just using. Pressing the home button down. Oh, the green light comes on. So this, I guess, just acts independently. Basically, when this comes on, the RGB light will come on as well. And I do not see the Switch actually waking up. So that one's on. I went and just dropped that one on too, just do it so we get the blue light comes on there. But yeah, we do not have any action from the Switch. So let me go ahead and just turn this on out of sleep mode manually there with the power button. And this just synced right up. And this one's synced up. So unfortunately, it does not appear to be able to wake it up from sleep. That is kind of a shame. But anyway, let's go ahead and open up the left one with the D-pad because I'm kind of curious what's going on with that. The D-pad doesn't feel great, so I want to see exactly what's going on in here. So we had 4 Phillips head screws here holding the back on. We can lift that away. It looks like ZL and the macro button go with it. And here we are with our board. These are the buttons for the turbo and the memory button there. I'm kind of looking around now to see where the rumble motor is. Here's our large battery right here that's kind of taking up a good chunk of it. Like I said, this should be a 500 milliamp hour battery. Looks like our joystick is on its own board, and most likely the reasoning for this, if we take this off, this joystick in general, it's pretty straightforward. We've seen these in several third-party controllers. It has tension similar, I would say, to the Xbox One joystick, but looking at this, we have 4 different LEDs around here, RGB, so they can change them to all different types of colors, and that's how we get the different effects, the breathing, the rainbow looking colors around. And that's most likely why they have it on a separate board here, so they can kind of manage them a bit better. They have tactile buttons all over the place here. It looks like we have our memory, our turbo, a reset button, so if the controller goes haywire, you can reset it. And then we also have our little macro button on the back here. The battery is a plug-in battery. And then we also have one other cable running down and underneath, and I'm thinking that's going to be our rumble motor. And as expected, there's our rumble motor, and it is a fairly small one. It's not like one of the larger rumble motors that you may have in something like an Xbox controller or a PlayStation 4 controller. Now, this is a smaller one, something you'd find, I would say, more so in like a cell phone, which actually explains why the rumble motor itself, even at its highest setting, wasn't very intense or violent. It's using a lower power, smaller one. It also looks like they placed the antenna kind of right here on the inside of where the joystick is, which is an interesting position. A lot of times you'll see them try to put it closer to the top here. I guess there wouldn't be too much interference right here because there's just plastic on the other side of it. It's just an odd position for it. And then finally we have our D-pad, and this is interesting. So I don't really know what to make of this one. We have our typical spike in the middle here, but I felt like something was off about this D-pad, and they have like these plastic stickers here. I think the idea is to try to raise up each point by stacking these, but like these just look like covers that you would put over screw holes kinda to hide them. Like they're literally just stickers. They just put stickers over these spaces. That is bizarre. Like we have our spike here in the middle that would typically act as like a pivot. Even that's not super high up compared to everything else. They were just raising this up, and it seems very weird to do that because then it has those kind of go up above where the spike is. I almost wonder if I remove these, if it'll actually make the D-pad function a bit better with more of a pivot, or if it just won't actually like press anymore correctly. I mean, this is certainly an interesting method for them to try to fix that problem, but I'm curious. I'm gonna remove these and see what happens. So this is really funny. After removing those stickers, I have like a pivot in the middle now, so like the center part will crash into the bottom of the board before all of the points do. So it feels like more of a D-pad rather than one big button on it. I mean, I don't really know what they were doing with these stickers. Like, do you remember before I would press down here in the middle and the whole thing would just press as one big button? Now there's an actual pivot point where it moves around. So yeah, no clue what that was all about. Still not amazing or anything, but it's certainly better than it was. Almost average, I'd say. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for the Binbach Joy-Con controllers. You know what? At $50 from a third party, these are actually pretty good. I'm a little surprised, really. I mean, there are some downsides, as we've mentioned, like the below average D-pad, the rather cheap plastic, I'll say, on the front here, and the uncovered charge ports that are in a strange place on the Joy-Cons themselves. But the functionality of these compared to something like the Hori controllers, the Joy-Cons, much better here. I mean, this is wireless. Immediately, that's a big advantage over those. Rumble built in. It has all the other features such as turbo, macro buttons, and RGB lighting because, you know, why not? But let me know what you guys think about these. If you did pick these up, let me know what your experience is with it so far. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.